Well, folks, we're back. I'm Joe Messina. We're here. It is Friday, and we're lining up for the next workshop with one of our amazing vendors, and that is Matt Eby, and he is from Origins. Healthy Origins. This is great. This company, look, we brought them in just recently over the last year, and here at the Wellness Center, products are selling great. They fit some holes we didn't have, and we're going to talk about a big one today, and the product line that we have here in general. Local company, we love it. We're supporting them. They're supporting us. So, Matt, it's all yours. Take it away, buddy.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. It's a pleasure, as always. I'm delighted to speak with all of you, delighted to go over some new products that are offered at the Wellness Center. So I know first, I know that we wanted to discuss our liquid coconut oil, which our liquid coconut oil is a bit unique in the fact that it is not refined like a lot of the other liquid coconut oils that are commonly found in the marketplace. Our liquid coconut comes from a special supplier in Canada. And of course, the coconuts originate in the Philippines. However, unlike the other oils that you'll typically find in a lot of health food stores, the liquid coconut oil that we feature is actually produced via centrifuge, which is considered to be one of the more, if not the most, premium manufacturing method when making coconut oil, or in this case, liquid coconut oil. What that enables them to do, so it is a completely heat-free, type of manufacturing. So obviously, the virgin status of our coconut oil is always maintained, and
Good.
the product, as aforementioned, is never refined, bleached, deodorized. You do still get the subtle hint of coconut when putting it topically on your skin, or whether ingesting it orally. The product that we have is 93% medium chain triglyceride oil, which many of you know. MCTs is kind of a hot button and has been for many years for producing ketones from the liver. So a lot of people use it as part of their diet and nutrition program for whether it be weight management, whether it be energy production, because ketones actually help to increase energy without the use of sugars and things like that in the body. And ketones, which you can find in different MCT oils, are a lot of times now mixed in with smoothies, shakes, to help, with calorie cutting, or of course, with fat burning and weight management and weight loss. And you can very commonly find a lot of recipes out on the internet using different coconut oil products within those formulas, whether it be a formula that you've developed or in a multi-use formula, using coconut oil along with things like L-carnitine and others. So our oil, is from the Philippines. Then it's extracted via centrifuge in Sri Lanka, and the oil, which is extremely pure, of course, and as you can see by the bottle, there's no hints of any yellow, nor is there any, off coloring to it. Is a very, very pure oil that has excellent uses, whether it be inside or on the body. So we feel very strongly that the oil that we were able to procure was, it wasn't as one of the most premium oils in the market on the liquid side. So one of the other big advantages with our
Matt,
oil. Sure.
before you continue, we're having a lot of static on this connection. Should we
Oh, sure. Yeah.
can you exit out and then come back in?
Oh, certainly. Yep.
Okay, great. We'll be right back, folks. Am I still on? Oh, I'm still on. Okay. This is great that this product, everything that he just talked about, is something we've been looking for. because as Matt said, most liquid coconut oils are refined. This one is unrefined. And the thing that, for me, the most important thing of it being unrefined is it still now has the lauric acid in it. When you refine coconut oil, you remove the lauric acid, and the lauric acid is the big fighter. That's the antimicrobial, antiviral component. That's what you find the only other place in nature in mother's milk, in breast milk. So let me ask you this, Matt.
Hmm.
Say you're cooking with it,
Hmm.
or maybe now I like to do bulletproof coffee. So,
Sure,
I
very
have
popular.
my organic espresso, I get my Kerrygold grass fed butter and unrefined coconut oil. Does this equate like teaspoon to teaspoon with the solid?
It does. So 14 grams, I believe it is, is a teaspoon of standard coconut oil, and it would
Okay.
be the same on that. So yeah, it
Okay.
is a 1-to-1, a complete switch out. And obviously, due to its liquid status, it is much easier for cooking and much easier for
Yes.
mixing because you don't have to worry about the biggest issues that we've had feedback on over the years with the solid oil is that it's tough to actually get the amount that you're looking for, without a scale and things like that. Because when you
Right.
stick a teaspoon or tablespoon or whatever in there, you get heaping amounts. So it could be over, it could be under. It's just much easier to measure with a liquid product.
Sure. Sure.
So whether it be for cooking or whether it be for measuring out of any sort, it's much easier to do it with liquid.
Well,
So
and then how about oil pulling? And
that
now
as
you
well.
don't have to wait for it to melt in your mouth.
Yeah,
You can,
exactly.
the timing on the oil pulling is now reduced,
Yeah,
which is a
bingo.
great plus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it sure
good.
is. So
Okay,
yeah,
great new
that's our
product.
liquid. Yeah, thank you.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I was just gonna say
Anything
that's
else
our
on the
liquid
coconut
coconut
oil?
oil. I
Okay,
don't believe so.
great.
No. Yeah,
Okay,
we of course, we hope that you try it, and I'm very confident that you like it. So,
excellent. Okay. All right, what else you got for us today, Matt?
so let's see. Would you like to move on to the Pycnogenol or Resveratrol?
Your pick. I
Let's
got them
go with
both right here.
Sure. So let's go with Pycnogenol first because it's certainly one of my favorite items that we have in our line. Pycnogenol, as many of you have heard the name before, but may not exactly know what it is the branded ingredient that has been in the market for now going on probably 20, 25 years,
Yes,
but
one of the
has
very
actually been,
first I was exposed to. Yeah.
yeah, and but has actually been around for going on 40. And it
Mm.
was used for different medical usage, over in Switzerland and France, dating back to the 1980s and 1990s. They started to bring out more clinical information on the ingredient, which was primarily the clinical information back then was pretty much all focused on circulatory support. But over
Mm.
time and over further clinical trials, which now we're over 130 at this stage, um, they have found that the broad range of support from pycnogenol is, well, the best word is broad. Um, the product has been used in clinical trials from everything from, of course, circulatory support to brain health, women's health, such as PMS, etc. It has even been used in some children's studies now for ADHD. So it really is a fantastic, all-encompassing ingredient that is certainly primarily directed towards blood flow and circulation, but it really has a huge benefit for the entire body as an antioxidant. So it's one of my favorite products in particular, just because not only is can it be used by so many different types of people and different age groups, but it has so much data on it to where the efficacy really can't even be challenged. Yeah, the amount of they've as of this point they've studied pycnogenol in over 10,000 people, and again over 130 clinical trials and probably 500 or 600 clinical papers have all been you know given, I guess you'd say, and completed on the pycnogenol ingredient. So
This comes from maritime pine bark. Now
mhm,
that's the original source, right?
it is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the source for the pycnogenol is called Leland, and I'll butcher this a little bit, Leland de Gaston forest in southwestern
Yeah.
France. And what makes the forest special, it's a preserved forest, so no pesticides or herbicides are ever allowed to be used in
Nice.
it.
Okay.
And any type of logging, or in this case, bark extraction, has to be done very gently and with the overseeing of several regulatory bodies to make sure that the forest is not being harmed. And all the bark and anything else that they're taking from the forest must be replaced immediately. Or, of course, the tree has to be treated with the utmost care.
Hmm.
So the quality of the bark from the French maritime pine tree is what many would consider, the paramount and utmost quality that could be achieved, from a pine bark extract. There has been imitators, of course, due to the popularity of pycnogenol. You can now get Chinese pine bark extract, as well as even, I think there's even another competitor, possibly in France, but the only company allowed to use this particular forest is Hortivac Ingredients, which is the parent company for pycnogenol. So they've had a long-term relationship with the forest, Department of Forestry or whomever is in control in France, and due to their standards and practices and their sustainability methods, they are given or granted access to this forest to harvest the bark.
So this is actually another addition to our patented research trademark ingredient list here at the World of Wellness, right?
Absolutely.
Again, quality you can trust.
Yeah.
Fantastic. 100
Thank you.
milligrams. Is that the standard dose?
Yeah, it goes. So we have a 30 milligram, which is mainly used for women's health. There was a couple studies done with 30 milligrams once or twice daily, and again, really just directed towards women. 100 milligram is by far and away the industry standard in terms of potency. I think that is by far and away the most popular as well because it's kind of it catches probably 80% or 90% of all the clinical trials that have been done. If you want the max, you can take 100 milligrams twice daily, or you can choose to take our 150 milligram, which covers probably 97% of all the
Mm-hmm.
clinical trials that have been done on pycnogenol. But 200 milligrams will pretty much cover it all. So generally speaking, the 100 milligram, which is probably the most preferred by most of our customers, we just tell them they can take 2 daily if they want to essentially blanket all of the clinical trials that have been conducted for pycnogenol, whether it be circulatory health, brain health, etc. So
Over the years, we've routinely recommended for to help stabilize or regulate blood pressure, not lower it. That's a disease state. But a milligram of grapeseed extract per pound of body weight seems to work the best. Does pycnogenol seem to do it in the same manner?
yeah, very similarly, and that's a great question because a lot of people ask that. I'm small or petite or larger person. What's the appropriate dosage for my body weight? And yeah, generally speaking, a milligram per kilo of body weight is what they generally try to shoot for. In terms of the proper dose for the person.
Right, right. Okay, good. All right. Pycnogenol, excellent. Like I said, it's been around a long time. You said the same thing. Been over 20 years in the professional market, in the functional medicine market. One of the first products I was ever exposed to in the industry. I used to buy, I used to actually sell Pycnogenol in one of my schools. I used to have martial arts schools, and I got him on a network marketing company. You know, it was one of the first ones for network marketing in our industry, and this was going back into the '80s. So, as you said, it's been around a long time.
Yeah, yeah. And you know,
Okay,
longevity in this industry is a good thing. That means that the ingredient's successful and obviously shows
exactly,
merit. You
exactly. Okay, let's move on.
know, all right. So we got resveratrol now.
All right, we got resveratrol.
So resveratrol, you know, has been popular for a while now, probably going on 15 or 20 years.
We're just gonna keep. We can't keep going in and out.
Is
Go
it
ahead, Matt.
cutting?
Sorry.
Yeah, oh, no problem.
Yeah, it's cutting again.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
want to do this one more time?
sure. Yeah, I can go back in
Cut
again.
out and back in.
No
Okay.
problem.
What is it that's doing that? Oh, is it weather? All right. Well, Matt will be right back in. We're going to go on to resveratrol. Here we go.
Okay, I'm
All
back.
right, Matt.
So yes, our resveratrol product, resveratrol has been around for 15, 20 years now. Obviously, it's gained in popularity probably more so in the last 10. It
Yes.
had some major traction from you know, some news networks as well as a, a medical program. Many remember as Dr. Oz. So resveratrol is used for cardiovascular health. It is a potent antioxidant. A lot of people think of resveratrol as you know, red wine or grapes. When you know, those products actually do contain resveratrol, but the problem with resveratrol is that it's found in trace amounts in grapes. So it's not really a reasonable way of producing it because an entire orchard would need to be you know, harvested just for one bottle of resveratrol. But resveratrol, a lot of times when people think of it, you know, you do think of red wine and grapes, you know, along with it, because it is a phenol that is found within those products. However, as more clinical data started to come out, you know, it showed that you know, higher doses of resveratrol, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 milligrams, were more beneficial, you know, for providing the cardiovascular support that was needed. And
Right.
you know, obviously, you know, the amount of wine you'd have to drink or the amount of grapes you'd have to eat to obtain this resveratrol, again, was not not recommended.
Yeah. Well,
And
I'll tell you my take on that, Matt, is
mhm.
there's a huge difference between commercial wine and organic wine.
Oh, absolutely.
If you have USDA, if you have certified organic, those grapes are much higher in resveratrol because the skin where it comes from is allowed to stress, and
That's right.
that's what activates the resveratrol. But in like a bottle of commercial wine, people say, "Oh, just drink wine," the French paradox and all that stuff. No, you get about a milligram,
Yeah.
and that's not gonna, it's not gonna hurt you, but it's not gonna do any help either. Now, organic wine, yeah, you can get more, but you still got to drink a whole bottle. So,
That's
the better way to do it is right here.
Hey, just out of curiosity, am I frozen on your side? Because my picture is not moving.
No, we're good.
Okay, good. That's all that
Yeah, we're
matters.
good.
Okay. All right. But yeah, so as you know, the production increased for resveratrol products, they were trying to find sources that were naturally high in resveratrol. And obviously, like you said, organic grapes, that's great. You know, and there just wasn't most of the organic grapes, you know, are dedicated to organic wines and such because there's a
Yes.
lot more demand
Right.
for it.
Yeah.
And so people were searching and companies were searching for an alternative source of resveratrol that was still sustainable and able to be achieved from a natural perspective. So they stumbled upon knotweed root. So knotweed is essentially a invasive weed that grows primarily, whether it be in Japan, China, in Asia. And they found that a lot of this knotweed root contains high levels of resveratrol. But the downside with knotweed is, and has always been, is the contaminants that are found within it. So a lot of times with knotweed, you have impurities such as imidin, which is a impurity that causes a lot of, let's say, GI upset, and PAH, which PAH, a lot of people know nowadays that it can be found on different, you know, herbs, different botanicals, and it's an impurity that isn't good for you and has been linked, to health problems. So that posed another issue that, after all these companies were launching resveratrols, products from Japanese knotweed or knotweed in general, they said, well, there's a lot of impurities in this. Is there any possible other way that this resveratrol can be obtained? And then a company over in Italy had found that you can actually get resveratrol from fermentation. So obviously the fermentation is going to be the premium way, and by far and away the best way by commercial means to obtain resveratrol. So this Italian company had started, I guess you could say, tinkering with the fermentation to try to see what they could yield from a resveratrol manufacturing perspective. And they found that they were able to obtain a very high level of natural resveratrol, 98+%, considered, to be the highest level of resveratrol that you can obtain in terms of purity. And there's absolutely no PAH, absolutely no imidin, and any other impurities are minimized to the point of where they're dietarily insignificant. And that's why we launched our current product, known under the name Verite. So Verite resveratrol is fermented and made in Italy. Very high-end, very premium product. But you don't necessarily pay for it. I think our prices are very fair for our resveratrol.
Mm-hmm.
And due to the, with the purity and, with the quality of the ingredient. One of the other nice things, and even though this has nothing to do necessarily with quality, is the taste and the smell. Most resveratrol products, when you open it, it has a very earthy taste and a very earthy smell, which can be off-putting to certain customers that don't want to have that experience. The Verite resveratrol is neutral. It's a much nicer color that isn't quite as let's say pungent, and the taste and the odor are almost completely insignificant. So it is much more palatable than other resveratrol products that are out there. So we feel wholeheartedly that this is the best quality resveratrol that can be found. They produce it in smaller batches. Their quality and their safety standards are sublime. And, I think that this particular quality of resveratrol is second to none. So.
Okay, now, Matt, why don't you do it again? Yeah, we're having a connection issue, but that's okay.
Sure.
Let's just do the same thing. Go in and out again. And
Okay.
I'll put in my 2 cents.
No problem.
Resveratrol is one of my most favorite nutrients, simply because it does something that there's not very many other nutrients that do. And that is, it actually activates a gene, the sirtuin-1 gene, SIR-1. The sirtuin-1 gene is the gene that promotes longevity in our cells. So, in other words, when you want your cell to live its entire life, 120 replications, well, in order to help that process, nothing does it as well as resveratrol. Because as we were saying earlier, Matt and I, if an organic grape is allowed to stress, it activates the resveratrol, which prolongs the life of the grape. Well, when you ingest resveratrol, it prolongs the life of your cells. So there's no better anti-aging nutrient out there than resveratrol.
I completely agree. And for anti-aging,
The book. How about the whole book, Matt? The Longevity Factor. Have I'm
That's
sure
right.
you've seen that, right? It's an
Absolutely.
amazing book on it by Dr. Joseph Maroon, who's a Pittsburgh guy too, a
Hmm.
good friend and colleague of ours. And yeah, get that book if you can. I know it's available as an ebook too, but the
Yeah.
Longevity Factor will tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that is a great book and a terrific read. And Dr. Maroon is, very well known and highly acclimated,
Yes.
physician. He really, there's people that really know their stuff on certain ingredients and certain health conditions, and he's one of them.
Yes, he
So
is.
I would strongly recommend reading that book for anybody who's curious or interested.
Okay. And I love the fact that it is 150 count veggie
Yeah.
cap, and each one is 300 milligrams. I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
I've never seen that size and count anywhere else duplicated, Matt. This is an amazing formula and great package and great amounts. I mean, the therapeutic results that you can get from this, from one bottle, is just great. So,
Thank
good
you.
stuff.
Thank you. So, shall we move on to our other product, which is astaxanthin?
Yes.
So, the astaxanthin that we have, there's several different methods of production for astaxanthin.
Right.
There's now synthetic, unfortunately, that is in the market now, which I certainly would not recommend in any way, shape, or form. And there's two primary or major natural methods. The first one being an open pond system, or an open environment, let's say. And that way, the astaxanthin is made in technically like a raceway style of pond, and it is stressed. So basically, what a lot of people don't understand about astaxanthin, and that's kind of take a step back. So astaxanthin is a carotenoid, part of the
Mm-hmm.
beta carotene family. Just a
Mm-hmm.
lot like similarly with beta carotene and others. It provides health for your skin, hair, eyes. Uh, but astaxanthin, a lot of times people say, well, where can it be found? It's algae. And one of the reasons why they say salmon can swim upstream is because salmon consume very high levels of astaxanthin. So the cardiovascular support that astaxanthin provides their body, they said, is a major contributing factor as to how they're actually extremely healthy fish, and why they have the endurance and stamina that they do to be able to swim 100, 1,000 miles, whatever it may be. And the astaxanthin, coming from algae, obviously you can find astaxanthin in the oceans or in ponds. And with astaxanthin in particular, it's kind of a super antioxidant in a way. It's extremely potent, and you don't need a large amount of milligrams to really make much of a difference, in your body. Technically, what most people do is take 12 milligrams or so for a while. They can keep taking that 12. If they find a lot of benefit from that, and some can actually, depending on going back on size and weight, they can actually taper down to 4 or 6 milligrams daily if they
Right.
feel that that is a good maintenance dose for them.
Well, Matt,
Moving forward.
originally that's the only strength you could find it in was
Yeah,
4 milligrams.
that's right.
And you're one of the few that have come out with this 12 milligram dose.
Yeah. And we found that one of the big challenges with astaxanthin was the loading phase. So a lot of people were taking, 4 milligram, and they said, after months or whatever, there wasn't a huge amount of benefit. They were losing interest because, as we all know, you have to feel something when taking a product within a given time frame. And have faith that that product is going to, keep you on the right path. So we found that the
Right.
12 milligram dose, which is triple strength, especially for loading the first 3, 6, 9 months, was much, much more beneficial because it enables the consumer to feel the effects of astaxanthin much faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Now, what do you think about the claims? I'll say that it's thousands of times more powerful than, say, vitamin C or vitamin E as an antioxidant.
That's a good question. It, I guess it would depend how, how would I really state it? I think some of those claims are a little embellished. I'm a believer, of course, in vitamin C and vitamin E. I think it also depends on what the types of vitamin C and vitamin E you're talking about as well. There are, like, when compared to synthetic vitamin E, quite possibly. There is natural forms of vitamin E. There's, I guess you'd say, more absorbable forms of vitamin E that are out there. So it all just depends the quality, but I am a believer in the fact that I think it is a much stronger overall antioxidant than vitamin C and vitamin E. Thousands of times, generally, when I see something like that, where somebody says, "Oh, it's 5,000 times more potent," or 10,000, I never want to.
How did you measure that? Right, that's my question. How did you measure that?
Yeah, where did you get the information from, and what were you comparing it to? And could it be for certain conditions? Maybe, certainly. Especially for eye health and things like that, where the carotenoids really, penetrate deep and have a huge benefit for eyes and for inflammation. But as a whole, 1,000 times or 5,000 times, I don't know. It would be difficult, I think, to come up with enough data to actually put that all in front of somebody and say, okay, this is why. However, I do speak very highly about the product, and I do feel that when you compare kind of apples to apples, if you were just comparing the antioxidant capability of one versus the other, I do feel that astaxanthin has a broader reach in the body. Especially
now, as you mentioned, this is it's from algae. Originally, the only way you could get astaxanthin was from krill.
Yeah.
Over early on.
Yeah, that is true.
So this is a much cleaner, much more potent source, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, krill oil is and has always been a source of astaxanthin, and that goes back to the whole salmon scenario, where how did the krill get it? From eating the algae in the ocean.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Where astaxanthin is found within krill, but it is in relatively small amounts. Usually for let's say 1,000 milligrams of krill, you'll find a couple hundred micrograms or something of the astaxanthin, which for clinical use is not really that beneficial. So you need something a bit more potent and a bit more let's say directed. The only way to do that is, of course, through the algae stress and production. So one of our challenges was figuring out the right, company to partner with when it came to the astaxanthin production. We had gone with a different source originally back in 2010 that was producing the algae, and the stress and the open system, as they call it. Which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's open air, and it yields a quality ingredient. The downside with that, as with any open system, is guess what happens? Bugs go into the product, impurities from the air, etc. Because it is open. Anything can technically go in there. So you have to do, further purity, measuring. You have to do further testing. Because of the potential contamination that can happen with any product that is produced in an open environment. So we were intrigued to find a Israeli company called Alga Technologies, and what they have actually done in a small remote area of Israel in the middle of the desert, which is the optimal growing conditions for this algae. They have something called it's more of a hybrid system. Probably leaning towards closed. But I said, okay, well, it's closed. At first, when I had gotten the information, I said closed doesn't sound quite as natural. And they said, oh no, they said it actually is the exact same method that you produce in the open system, but by closed, they actually meant putting it in glass tubes in the middle of the desert in Israel. And this reaction was done in a glass tube, which kept out all the impurities. It kept out all the environmental, anomalies that can get into the product, and then yielded, what many would think is the most pure astaxanthin that can be achieved. And I said that all makes logical sense. It's made the same way. It's not. There's no synthetic, or chemical intervention whatsoever. It's all produced via supercritical CO2 extraction. It's just the fact that instead of having an open pond or whatever for production, it's made in a high quality glass tube. So both the environment in Israel and the fact that the material was not seeing any type of environmental impurities, we felt that this particular product, Astapure, was kind of the pinnacle of quality in terms of astaxanthin. I love their idea to keep it still as natural as possible, just produced in a slightly different setting to where it can't be I guess you should say exposed to all these environmental toxins.
Mm-hmm. I love the fact that it is a patented research trademark ingredient, Astapure, which follows along the lines of what we've been trying to establish here for a long time, both at Nutritional Frontiers and at the World of Wellness. So we've got, with the Healthy Origins line, folks, we brought in, two PRTs, two patented research trademarked ingredients in Astapure, and in the Resveratrol, we have the Verite, and that's also a PRT. So good stuff. The company, folks, is Healthy Origins. We have 4 of their premier products right here at the World of Wellness. They're unrefined, pure, liquid coconut oil, 100% virgin, cold processed, and unrefined in a liquid, first time. And that's important. And then, of course, the Pycnogenol, Astaxanthin, and Resveratrol. This is a powerhouse of antioxidants, folks. So all available here at the World of Wellness, all on sale, all this week. So make sure you get down, make sure you get your orders in. I'm personally going to get myself a bottle of this because I do oil pulling on a regular basis, and this will cut the time down for me drastically, right? So that's great. Good stuff, Matt. And next time, maybe we'll have you in here in person and with another product added to the list.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Matt. Matt Eby, everybody, from Healthy Origins. So we will be back 12 o'clock, high noon, with the gut guy, Dr. Len Bransowitz, at the round table with Jamie and myself. So make sure you tune in.